Knitting 101. And of course I'm looking at it like, what the heck did I do? Because there was a screw up. Hi, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is going to be an update video. So if you're new here, I usually post videos about crocheting or knitting. I have tutorials and patterns, and sometimes I do a yarn haul. And this video is going to be an update on my series that I've been doing. I started a series in January of 2023 called Bust My Stash, and what that means is I have a lot of yarn. I have a lot. And I was taking stock of it and was like, I need to do something about this. So each month I pull a bin of yarn from my stash of yarn that I have, and I try to see what I can make out of it. And I then do these update videos to show you the progress that I have made. And so yeah, it's been slow going, I think. I did a series like this in 2020, and I can post a link to that if you're interested in that. And I decided, you know, it's 3 years later, I need to revisit this, as I did go through a bit of yarn in 2020, but yarn just comes to me. That's just, I mean, not a bad problem to have, but I feel like I'm always getting more yarn, and I just like, you know, I have a lot, and I really need to kind of try to dig in there and see what we can, you know, do to decrease the stash level here. So I'm going to show you some projects that I did make for the month of May. I will show you the May bin, and then I will show you so you can see the progress. I feel like I've made a lot of, I was very busy in May, and I do feel like I was kind of productive, but when I look at the bin, I'm like, doesn't look like it. But I have pulled from other bins, so because a lot of the yarn I have is like little bits of a lot of yarn, and so it's hard to make a project with just a little bit of yarn. So sometimes I need to pull from others. So maybe that's why I feel like I'm not really making a lot of progress, but I have made things. I really have, I promise. So I'm going to show you some finished projects that I made. As I said, I'll show you the May bin. I'll show you the bin for June. And I will show you some projects that I am currently working on as well. So why don't we start on the projects that I am working on. So here is one we have. I showed it before. It's going to be a shawl, and I am making this with linen yarn. It's like a fingering weight yarn and an E hook, which is that a 3.25 millimeter? It might be. I know the millimeters for most of the hooks, but I don't use E hook very often. It's a smaller one, and so I'm not quite sure on the millimeters on that one, but it's an E hook. And so yeah, this is some linen yarn that actually I am part of a knitting crochet group at my church. I actually run it, and we do a yarn swap, and somebody brought in this beautiful linen yarn. This is 100% linen, so it's a little bit stiff, but the nice thing with linen, once it, you know, this thing gets blocked and it gets worn a little bit, it's just going to be soft and beautiful. And so yeah, I need to get moving on this guy, and I will have a video for this eventually for this pattern. I haven't done a shawl on my YouTube channel. I have made shawls. I have at least one written shawl pattern. Maybe I have two. I have a few. I sell some things on Ravelry. I used to sell on Etsy, but Etsy's kind of, it's not really friendly to the small, you know, handmade business. It's getting to be kind of like an Amazon or mass-produced items, which that's not how Etsy started. So I'm really not selling on there anymore because it's just not worth it for a small-time gal like myself. So yeah, and that's a whole other video. I'm sure there's probably people on there that have made videos, because I'm not the only one that, you know, is not happy with Etsy about that. But you know, what are you gonna do? So my next project is one I have featured on this channel on and off. I don't think I showed it last month, but I wanted to show you how far I've gotten. So I started this Tunisian project. I also do Tunisian crochet. I do have some tutorials about Tunisian crochet. And I started this Tunisian baby blanket. The knitting crochet group that I have at my church, we are doing a service project where we are making baby blankets for babies in the community, new babies. And so this is one that will be for that. So it's going to be a patchwork blanket, and it's all made in Tunisian crochet. So yeah, we're getting there with that. I feel like I only work on it when I go to my group. I really need to work on it at home too, because it's not a hard project. And this Tunisian project, which I will be having on the channel eventually, is made with, you can use a small hook. So usually if you're familiar with Tunisian crochet, you usually need a larger hook or a hook with a cable on it. And this guy you can make with a regular crochet hook. You could even probably use the ergonomic handle crochet hooks. I prefer just a straight crochet hook, but some people prefer the ergonomic handles, which are the ones that have the thicker handle, and usually you can't do Tunisian crochet with those, but with this guy you can. You definitely can. So yeah, and this is a great stash busting project. You know, uses up little bits of yarn, which I have a lot of that. And so I do have this border because I have a bit of this pink and multicolored yarn. So that's going to be the border. And then everything in the center is this patchwork situation. So I think it's going to be cute when it's done. It's a lot of colors, so hopefully it will go to a mom that likes a lot of colors. So another project that I'm working on is, I think I showed it last video, these knitted mitered squares, and I have a bunch more. So here we go. Here's my stack that I have, and I started it with these multicolored ice yarns. It's actually Ice Yarns Picasso, and my mom actually gave me this yarn because she wasn't having much luck finding a project for this yarn. It's really soft, and the colors and the skein are super, super pretty. But when she's a crocheter, so when she would crochet it, she was just like, I don't like this. This just doesn't look nice. So she gave it to me, and so I am making knitted mitered squares. This is a really easy one, and I do have a video tutorial if you want an easy knit project. You can make a little mitered squares, big mitered squares, you know, and I do have a crochet tutorial too. So I'm using this multicolored yarn, and then I have this teal blue to go with it, and it's going to be kind of a patchwork situation. And then I do have 3 in this pink, which I only had enough for 3 squares, so we're going to integrate this pink in there somehow. So yeah, this is going to be a baby blanket with these mitered squares and the multicolored, so I think it's going to be pretty after I figure out how to lay them all out, because I only have 3 squares of the pink, but I think I have a plan. I think so. Yeah, that's what we're doing with these guys. So another project that I'm working on, I think I featured this blanket situation in my last video. So here I had talked about this blanket that somebody had given me to finish. Someone in my knit crochet group, she's a knitter, so somebody had given her this project that was crochet, and she doesn't crochet, so she gave it to me, and I was going to finish it, but when I was looking at it, as I explained in the last video, there are knots on the end here, and they are the type of knots that they actually will come undone really easily. So I decided to take this apart because I didn't want to make it as a gift for a new mom with a new baby, because, you know, things need to get washed. When you have babies get messy, and I didn't want to take a chance of this falling apart. You know, the first time she washed it, and, you know, she's got a bunch of string all over her, you know, washing machine. So I didn't want to do that. So I decided to take it apart. I'm so glad I did. So this is what I'm making with it now. So here we go. It's going to be all blue, and then I think I'll have a white border. And I'm so glad that I decided to take the original one apart, because as I was getting to, actually I could probably even show you. Okay, so I just unraveled till we got to a knot. So what's been happening, see, it came right apart. I didn't even have to put like much force on that at all. So I am very glad I decided to take this apart. So I'm not a big fan of knotting when changing colors. I know there's different types of knots, like a magic knot or Russian join, things like that. And some people probably have really good luck with them. I don't think this was, I think this was just a plain old knot. And so you can see how easily that came apart. So I prefer to change colors other ways, which I've already had to, let's see. So you can see these ends of where I had to change colors, but I've not had a problem when changing colors and then weaving in the ends of things coming apart in the wash. That's just my 2 cents with that. You know, if you like to do knots, you, do whatever you want, but I just prefer to not do that when I'm crocheting because I've just seen problems that arise with that. So I can link a video of how I like to change colors down below. So any videos I mention or tutorials I will put in the description box. Okay, so I have another knitted project. I'm really getting my knitting game on. So if this is your first time watching, you might think, oh, she's a knitter. Not really. I consider myself a crocheter who can knit. I don't consider myself a super skilled knitter, but I can do the basics, and I do enjoy knitting. It's just harder for me, if that makes sense. Crocheting just comes so much more easily to me, where knitting, like, I feel like, you know, I can't just, you know, with crocheting, I often will watch Netflix or whatever, but when I'm knitting, I feel like I need to be like 150% focused, because if I get, like, do something, like, if I distract myself, then I will be like, oh no. Like with this project here, so I'm making another, this is a blanket, and it's a patchwork situation, and hopefully it's going to be cute. It's probably kind of hard to tell, but I think it's going to be nice when it's done, I think. I hope. But this is just basically the garter stitch and then the knit stitch, and I'm using some intarsia techniques on there, which took me a little while to figure out because I had like a vision of how I wanted this guy to look, because I got a bunch of this yarn with my yarn swap, and I just decided to try to incorporate it into a blanket. And it's really easy stitches, but like I just had to fix over here. I don't know, this is just garter stitch. Like, it's garter stitch is just knit. Like, you knit every row, like knitting 101. And of course I'm looking at it like, what the heck did I do? Because there was a screw up. Fortunately, I was able to fix it. Fortunately, it wasn't like, you know, like I saw it down here, and then I probably would have just been like, you know what, we're just not gonna do this project. We're just gonna take it apart and use the yarn for something else. But able to salvage this guy. So yeah, this will actually be my very first knitted blanket, or like probably my first like larger knit project. I usually, when I knit, I just make something small like a hat. You know, I'm pretty okay with the hats. I did make a sweater once, and it was sort of okay. I don't know, it photographed okay, but like wearing it in real life is just not. And that thing took me forever. I think it took me like 2 years to make that thing. My next project is something more in my wheelhouse. It's crocheting, and it is an 18-inch doll project. So my whole crochet pattern making journey started with 18-inch dolls, or American Girl dolls. My daughter got a doll as a gift when she was 8 years old. She's almost 22 now, and she just graduated from college, so I can't believe it, my baby. But anyway, yeah, so she got this doll, and she wanted clothing for her doll, and of course the clothes were ridiculously expensive. So she told me, Mommy, you can just make them. And I was like, I don't know, I've never done that before, but she believed in me, and so I started making doll clothes and found out they were super fun. So here is one. This is going to be a Cinderella dress that I started. I'm doing a series of princess dresses, so I already made one. It's the Snow White dress. I'm calling it the Apple Princess because of copyright and Disney and stuff, so won't say anything else. But that's the Apple Princess dress. I have the whole video's done. I can post a link for that if you want to see that. And so now I'm making the Cinderella one. So we are in progress. So yeah, I've got a stitch marker here, and so like the top is almost done, but you know, we've got a long way to go on the skirt, and making it look more, you know, Cinderella-like. And I will have written patterns eventually for for the princess dresses. I'm still working on editing the Snow White one because it's a huge pattern. There's a lot of pictures, a lot of how-tos, and I really want to make sure it's right before I just put it out in the wild for sale. So yeah, and I will probably get that one tested. So it's going to be a little bit before the written patterns are out. So if you prefer written patterns, they are coming. I just want to make sure they're as accurate as they can be. So that's going to take me a little bit of time. Okay, so I did say that I was productive. Those are a lot of unfinished projects, so that might not seem really productive, but I do have some finished ones. So let me show you the finished ones. So I have some 18-inch doll, and I already have these videos up. So this is a skirt, a little shell skirt, and this is one of the very first 18-inch doll patterns I ever made. So this guy is maybe 11 years old, the pattern. So I decided to make a video with it, and I did change the bottom a little bit from the original, but it's basically the same. And oh, and I did change the straps a little bit too to make it, I think, a little cuter. But yeah, so this pattern is up, and this is a really easy project. Just uses a basic shell stitch, and the nice thing is this will fit any 18-inch doll. Some 18-inch dolls, their waist sizes can vary, or their body sizes can vary, so that can be a little challenging sometimes when making clothing, because I have American Girl dolls, and there's a whole bunch of different type of 18-inch dolls. So even within the American Girl doll, like the one doll that I will show her to you soon that we have, it's my daughter's doll that she got when she was 8, and that one's more of a vintage one, probably from the 90s, so those body types are actually a little bit thicker, I guess is the word, and the newer ones seem to be a little bit slimmer, so it can be a challenging. I usually like to use her as my model because if it fits her, then it, you know, usually will fit the slimmer ones, except when you're making pants or shorts, you know, then it can be, they'll fit her and then they'll be a little bit loose on the slimmer dolls. So, but you can usually with those patterns kind of tweak them a little bit, maybe drop a hook size down, use lighter weight yarn, and even with some of the patterns you can just decrease the stitches a little bit. But with this guy, it's a drawstring, it's going to fit any doll, and you can make this as long or as short as you would like. So this one's about knee length, and again I can link the pattern, and I thought she needed a little top. So here is the top, and it's just a little summer kind of crop top for the doll. Here's the back with a little ruffle. I thought it was super cute, and this thing works up super fast. It's really easy. Again, you can adjust this to fit your doll if you want. But here we go. Here's another 18-inch doll top. We were in summer, so even though I'm wearing long sleeves, it's kind of chilly today, but this one ties at the shoulders, and so this pattern just went up recently, and I think it turned out really cute. And again, this is a really easy construction, so if you are a newer crocheter, wanted to make some doll clothes, this would be a really easy pattern for you to do that with. And you can use you can use all one color if you prefer, two colors, you know, however you want to do it. Even down here if you wanted to make some stripes. These are just very easy basic crochet stitches, and you could even do this as a halter top too if you didn't want to have the strap in the back, but I wanted it to tie at the shoulders just for something, you know, that was just the vibe I was going for. Okay, so here is another project that I had for May. So here is the whole outfit. She kind of looks like a carrot. I wasn't really, that was not my intention, and this is that doll I was talking about. That she's a little bit an older version. She's I think it's Josefina. So this is Josefina, and I don't even know if they make her anymore. She might be discontinued now, but my daughter wanted her because she has earrings. But yeah, I think she's from the late 90s, and her grandmother got this for her. So I think she was a good eBay find. But anyway, so here she is, and so this is the whole outfit. That red and blue top I showed you, this is the same one, except it's the orange and the green. And then I made matching shorts, and we have little sandals for her as well. So all of these patterns are available on my channel, and again, I will have links for everything. And again, like I said, the disclaimer with the 18-inch dolls, I know some dolls have bigger feet than these girls. Their feet are about 2.5 inches long. So I think somebody told me, one of my testers, when I made a different shoe pattern, she had a Canadian, I think it's Canadian girl doll, Canadian or Australian, and one of those dolls, their feet were slightly longer, but this one you could adjust. It's a really easy shoe pattern. So what I suggest, if you're not sure if it's going to fit your doll, make one like from my pattern that I have, and then if it's a little too small, then you can just kind of adapt it to fit your doll, you know, add extra rounds, or you know, use maybe heavier yarn, a larger hook, whatever. But I think that it could easily be adapted for a, oops, her shoe's shifting around, for a for larger feet. But yeah, here we go. Here's this whole set. I'm not sure if I'll make her, I was thinking maybe we'll make a hat too, but I don't know. We might be done with this whole outfit. I'm not sure. And I have one more item to show you. I actually made a top for a human person. So here we go. I made this little sun top, and I think it turned out cute. It fits me, and it's almost a crop top. I wanted it to make it a little bit longer, but I wasn't sure with the yarn, and you know, it's a prototype, so, but with this pattern you can adapt it. I'm going to have a tutorial for this guy, and you can make this to fit any body type, and you could make it longer if you wanted. You could, I had wanted to make a longer ruffle in the front, but I didn't have enough yarn, so we have this little ruffle. And you don't even have to have the ruffle if you don't want to. And I wanted to make one because I know the crocheted tops are like all the rage, but a lot of them, they just have little, you know, tie straps or whatever. And you know, I'm 50. I like wearing a regular bra. So I wanted one that you could wear a regular bra with, and you can with this guy. You could even make wider straps if you wanted to. Like, my thought was if I had a longer ruffle, then that would really hide the bra strap. But alas, I only had this much yarn. But I am going to be making another one with some different yarn, cotton yarn that I have. This is going to be a tutorial to make it to fit you, so I'm not going to really have exact, you know, like you need to crochet this amount of stitches and, you know, XYZ. So you can adjust the straps to fit your shoulders. And it's almost seamless. So this is the front here. Now, of course, I used this striped yarn, but when you turn it around in the back, I bet you can't find the seam. Now, of course, again, the multicolored yarn does help hide it, but the seam is right here, and you probably can't really see it. So those are all the projects that I have for you today. And next I'm going to show you the bin of yarn for May, so you can see if it looks any different or not. It probably doesn't look a whole lot different. And then I'm going to show you the June bin. Okay, so here we have the May bin, and it might not look a whole lot different, but there has been some yarn that was used. So this guy was bigger. This was a prototype, and I had some of this blue. I took that out, and that is being used for the Cinderella dress. So, because I didn't have enough of this sparkly blue, and I was looking all over for more, because that's what I wanted to use it for, and I was like, yay, here's some. And then the orange yarn that I made the little carrot outfit, that was in this bin too. So some yarn has been used out of this bin, and then I have this bag, which I thought, there's some little bits here, so I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to use that for that patchwork blanket. And here is some more that I can use for that. So I need to dig through this bag and see what I can use. So yeah, definitely I did use some yarn in this bin for May. So now I'm going to show you the June bin. So here we go. Here is the bin for June. And right off the bat, we've got some unfinished projects, or abandoned projects. So this was a blanket I tried making for somebody years ago and realized I just didn't have enough yarn to do it. So I abandoned it, and I could probably take some of this apart and use it for other things. And this was something, I think my mom gave me this, and something she started and never finished. So I can use this for something. And there's a lot of this actually, so that's kind of a nice find. We do have some thread, which I know I've made stuff with this and for previous projects. Someone had given, when my husband was still alive, someone gave my husband, he found out that the person found out, I guess my husband told them that I knit and crocheted. So they gave me a bunch of yarn, and there was a ton of this really fine thread in there. So I ran out of camera card space, so I'm not sure what I was talking about. I think I was talking about that thread there. But also in here, we just have some worsted weight. It's actually purple. It looks kind of more periwinkle. And I do have some linen yarn here that I got. It's very, very fine. It's like super fine. So if you can see that, I need to figure out what to do with. I ordered it from Lithuania, and boy did it come fast. I was going to use it for something else, but the project wasn't going very well. So then I just put it back in the box, and it's been sitting for probably 2 years. And so now I need to figure out what to do with it. And then here is this purple, this multicolored yarn. Maybe I could make a blanket or something. I know this yarn was left over. Somebody had given me a blanket to repair, and this was the yarn, and then they just let me keep whatever was left that I used to repair. So yeah, so here we go. Here is the June bin, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.
What's going on? So my next stop with the, I'm not sure, the shoe princess maybe, because she loses her shoe. I'm sure you know the stories. So another, rest of these, well no they're not, almost all of them are 18-inch style projects, my finished projects. Sneeze.